I should know a thing or two about making this microphone thing work. Could be famous last words. First off, thank you for having me. I've had a lovely few days here in Bali. I haven't been here that much. You guys have been going to school here for a while. So just as an observer, being here for a few days, I think one of the things that has really inspired me deeply is seeing there's many levels of community that exist here, right? There's you guys, the graduating class. There's all your fellow student body members. There's the faculty, the staff, the teachers. But then, I don't know, it's really interesting. I think this is a school, like I'm someone, I like to always feel like I'm at school in a good way. I also like to feel like I'm in trouble at school, also in a good way. But anyway, it's interesting. I feel like when looking around here, the parents are as excited to be here as the kids. And that makes for a really special community. And it actually really makes for what community really is, where people are choosing to be around other people with shared values to try to make the world a better place. Now, I grew up in a far different world, very, very far away physically, emotionally, aesthetically from Bali, right? I grew up in New York City. I would put a decade on it, but it'll show me to really be as old as I am. But it was the 1970s, and the city was a mess, and the city was broke, and there was a lot of crime, and cars would get stolen and broken into overnight. You couldn't leave anything, even a radio, in your car that was parked on the street. Buildings were getting burned down. A lot of stuff was happening. But in the midst of all this, you had people like my family and my fellow band members' families who decided, you know what, we belong here, and we're going to stay here because we're dedicated to visual arts, we're dedicated to music, we're dedicated to architecture, we're dedicated to all of this that is happening here in the city, even though it's more difficult. And so that also was community, and that's kind of what I think helped define us, because we grew up as a band in this city that was filled with music, but it was also filled with crime, drug addiction, arson, fiscal crises. But most importantly, I think we could only have done what we did as a band by being in this place at this time, right? Where all this art was surrounding us, where music was exploding all around us. And we lived in a city where, I think probably hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people moved there just because they had an inspiration, because they had a dream, because they had an idea of who they wanted to become in the world. And New York City seemed like the place where if you didn't fit in over here, you could make it happen there. If you had an idea of being a painter or a sculptor or a musician or a rapper or playing in a punk rock band, you could show up there and make that happen. So I think because of that, it was a really special time, right? We had music of all kinds exploding all around us, from punk rock to rap music to salsa to jazz. So you had all these different cultures coming together at the same time. And within that, I think what really made us so lucky, and something that I look at and I think you guys have experienced, is that somehow in these homes that we grew up in New York City, with all this chaotic stuff happening outside, we were taught that our opinions mattered, right? We all somehow had parents who might have not felt like they were listening to us, but they were listening to us. Our opinions on all kinds of topics mattered. And so it's kind of inspiring to me here today and the last couple of days walking around here to see for you guys are really listened to. You guys have power, and you guys are gonna, by having been exposed to that power, by having been exposed to just the ideas that you're that your ideas count and make a difference, that's going to make a huge difference, hopefully, in the world going forward. I guess like another couple notes to touch on. Keep it short because I'm sweating up here. And I'm sure you guys are anxious to get your diplomas and whatever form they take. Anyway, it was, I think, coming from like this thing of thinking that our ideas mattered. That's what enabled us as a band. It felt like anything was possible. Anything was possible, right? So it seemed probably like a pretty crazy thing that we were like this punk rock. We were these punk rock kids. We had this punk rock band. We were white kids, but we loved rap music. So we just started to rap. We just memorized every record that we knew, and we then just started to play shows and to do that. That would seem completely not only stupid, and it probably was, but completely not possible. And so I think that's the thing, is that it never dawned on us it wasn't possible, right? Because we had that background of people, of thinking that what we thought and what we wanted to do mattered. And that's what you have here as your platform. So as ridiculous as it is, whatever it is you want to do out in the world, you can kind of go forward knowing that you can get that done. And I think, it also, that's how we started. Over time, it's interesting because we traveled the world as a band and it was really interesting to kind of become aware of becoming world citizens, right? And I think that was a great gift to travel the world, because then all of a sudden we became exposed to different cultures. We became exposed to what happens when we play a show and tens of thousands of people are buying water in plastic bottles. And we became exposed to when we're selling millions of CDs and they're coming in this big cardboard packaging that's just going to get thrown out and just create a mess, right? And we created, I have to give credit to my former bandmate Adam Yao, who sadly passed a few years ago, because he, it was really interesting. He was just trekking in Nepal, and by trekking in Nepal, he met Tibetans in exile, and it deeply touched him to see these people living in diaspora, and he immediately came back and talked about it. And again, we didn't even think about it. It was just like, okay, what can we do to affect change? And then that's when Adam, along with us, when we started the Tibetan Freedom Concert. So all of that is possible for you guys because your ideas, thoughts, actions matter. So to sum it up, well, and I think you've also already had the experience to some degree of presenting that, having that here at the Green School and presenting what you did in your Greenstone presentations. So in the words of the famed rap group Digital Underground, do what you like, but my advice would be do what you like, but let compassion and empathy guide you through whatever that journey is. It's going to be filled with adversity, with insecurity, with failure, joy, and life. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pac Mike. Now, we have two 9th grade students who would like to continue a Green School graduation tradition.